Assalamu alaikum. Today my topic is Pakistan's glaciers, where you can say the icy lifelines in peril. Okay, let's move towards our topic. Imagine a vast, silent network of frozen rivers, weaving through the roof of the world Karakoram, the Himalayas, the Hindu Kush. This is not a scene from a documentary about the Arctic. This is our home. Pakistan is home to over 7,253 known glaciers, a staggering number that makes our country the proud and now profoundly concerned host of the most glacial ice found in any non-polar region on Earth. 1. The crown of the continent, a frozen reservoir. Let us first understand the scale. These are not just patches of ice. We are talking about colossal formations like the Sakkan Glacier, the world's second longest non-polar glacier, often called the place of wild roses, but now better known as the world's highest battlefield. We have the Baafo Glacier, which, together with the Hispar Glacier, forms one of the world's longest non-polar glacial systems, a 100-kilometer highway of ice for trekkers. And then there is the Baltoro Glacier, the gateway to some of the world's tallest peaks, including K2. But why are these icy giants so crucial? They are Pakistan's water bank. They store fresh water in solid form during the winter and release it gradually as they melt in the spring and summer. This meltwater is the primary source of the Indus River system, very artery of life for our nation. The Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, and other rivers are all fed by this glacial melt. It is this water that quenches the thirst of our cities, irrigates over 80% of our agriculture, at backbone of our economy, and powers our hydroelectric dams. Simply put, without these glaciers, Pakistan would be a parched land. They are our natural insurance against drought and our most significant strategic water reserve. To the paradox, the Karakoram anomaly and the looming threat, for a long time, scientists observed a curious phenomenon known as the Karakoram anomaly. While glaciers worldwide were retreating at an alarming rate, many in the central Karakoram were holding their ground, and some were even advancing slightly. This was attributed to unique weather patterns and increased snowfall in the high altitudes. But, ladies and gentlemen, this anomaly is no longer a cause for comfort. The relentless force of climate change is now overwhelming this natural buffer. The Earth is warming, and the high mountains are warming at a rate faster than the global average, a phenomenon known as elevation-dependent warming. The consequences are twofold, and both are catastrophic. First, we are witnessing accelerated glacial melt. The ice is retreating, not by inches, but by miles in historical terms. This rapid melt leads to the second, more immediate danger: glacial lake outburst floods, or GLOFS. As glaciers retreat, they leave behind massive pools of meltwater, dammed by unstable mounds of ice and rock called moraines. These are the glacial lakes. There are over 3,000 such lakes in Pakistan's north, and at least 33 have been identified as critically dangerous. When the moraine dam breaks, triggered by an earthquake, an avalanche, or simply the pressure of the water, it releases a cataclysmic wall of water, ice, and debris downstream. These GLOFS are terrifying in their power, wiping out entire villages, bridges, roads, and agricultural land in minutes. The recent devastating floods in Pakistan, particularly in 2022, were a stark reminder of this interconnected threat, where extreme heat accelerated melt, compounding unprecedented monsoon rains. 3. The cascading crisis impacts on our nation. The melting of our glaciers is not a distant problem. It is a clear and present danger that cascades through every facet of our society. 1. Water scarcity. Initially, increased melt may cause more water in our rivers, a peak water period. But this is a false bounty. Once the glaciers shrink beyond a critical point, the flow will become erratic and then decline permanently. This threatens the long-term water security of 240 million people who depend on the Indus Basin. The looming specter of water wars between provinces is a direct consequence of this future scarcity. 2. Agricultural collapse. Our agriculture is entirely dependent on canal systems fed by these rivers. Erratic water flows mean failed crops, food insecurity, and the devastation of the livelihoods of millions of farmers. A drop in wheat and cotton production doesn't just mean empty stomachs, it means economic ruin. 3. Energy deficit. Pakistan relies heavily on hydroelectric power. Unpredictable river flows directly translate into power shortages, load shedding, and increased reliance on expensive and polluting fossil fuels, creating a vicious cycle that further fuels climate change. 4. Loss of life and infrastructure. As we have seen with GLOFS and super floods, the immediate human cost is unbearable. Homes, lives, and centuries of community heritage are washed away in an instant. 5. Geopolitical tensions. The Indus Waters Treaty with India, a landmark agreement, is already under strain, as upstream water availability becomes a matter of national survival for both nations. The potential for conflict over this shared, melting resource grows exponentially. 4. The way forward, a national and global imperative. So, what is to be done? The challenge is immense, but surrender is not an option. Our response must be as multifaceted as the problem itself. First, we must invest in science and early warning. We need to map our glaciers with precision using satellite technology and on-ground monitoring. We must establish a robust early warning system for GLOFS, giving vulnerable communities precious time to evacuate. Institutions like the Pakistan Meteorological Department and Gilgit-Baltistan Disaster Management Authority need our full support. Second, we must pursue climate-smart adaptation. This includes building climate-resilient infrastructure, promoting water conservation techniques like drip irrigation in agriculture, and constructing new, smart storage dams that can capture excess floodwater for use in dry periods. Third, we need ecosystem restoration. Planting trees in the catchment areas can help stabilize soil and regulate water flow. Protecting our existing forests is a non-negotiable part of the solution. Fourth, and most crucially, this is a global responsibility. Pakistan contributes less than 1% to global greenhouse gas emissions, yet we are the 8th most vulnerable country to climate change. This is a profound injustice. The polluting nations of the world have a moral and financial obligation to support us. The establishment of a loss and damage fund at international forums is a step in the right direction, but it must be activated with real, accessible funds for adaptation and rehabilitation. Finally, it requires individual action. Every one of us has a role to play, from conserving water and energy in our daily lives to raising our voices and holding our leaders accountable, to making sustainable choices. The fate of our frozen lifelines is ultimately in our hands. Now the most important point. What will be the conclusion if they melt down? The glaciers of Pakistan are more than just majestic landscapes for tourists and mountaineers. They are the silent, beating heart of our nation. They are our past, our present, and they must be our future. The cracks appearing in this icy fortress are the first warnings of a coming storm. We stand at a crossroads. One path leads to a future of scarcity, conflict, and displacement. The other leads to a future of resilience, innovation, and stewardship. The choice is ours to make. Let us choose to be the generation that heeded the warning, that took action, and that secured the icy lifelines of Pakistan for all the generations to come. Hope you are still with me. If you like this topic, please like and subscribe.